Hey guys, hope you're going well today. So we're coming into the second week of January, but I kind of don't care. I want to talk about some of my favorite, well, my top 5 favorite indie movies from 2014. I had to wait a little bit to do this video because there were a few, and there still are a few movies from 2014 that I really had high expectations for and I kind of knew that I would love. So I was waiting to see those movies before I could really finalize my top 5 list because, let's be honest, top 5 movies, that is a very difficult situation. I was kind of thinking about what my top 5 movies would be and I couldn't get it down past 15. There were just some really good movies this year. Now bear in mind, when I do my top 5 lists, it is number 1 being like the best movie, but I also like to think of my lists more like playlists. So it's kind of like these top 5 kind of complement each other and work well as a package of 5 movies which represent the whole year of 2014, if that kind of makes sense. Like I said, I couldn't get it down past 15, so in order to make it really truly a top 5, I had to sort of think about why I'm picking each movie and why they deserve to be in my top list. Anyway, I am fighting some evening light. It's getting late in the day, so let's just jump into it. Number 5, I wanted to go with an Australian movie. I thought what a nice way to start off my top 5 list. I didn't see that many Australian movies in 2014, unfortunately. I really try and make it a habit to support, you know, my local cinema, of course. But one Australian movie which really stood out among all the rest for me was The Babadook by Jennifer Kent. This was her first, feature film filmed in South Australia, and it is a psychological thriller, the stuff that your childhood nightmares are made of. This mother and son are together in this creepy old house, and the son has this picture book which is kind of like a scary boogeyman, monsters under the bed, and the monster that is featured in the book seems to be haunting this mother and son in the house, and it is like the things that go bump in the night, and probably the scariest movie that I saw all year. I mean, I don't watch a lot of horror movies, and when I do lean towards psychological horror, where it's kind of somewhat in the mind but really happening, but you don't really know. Number 4 is Chef from Jon Favreau. I know this might not be in everyone's sort of top indie list of the year, but the reason I wanted to include it is because it was something a little bit lighter and brighter and more family-friendly, everyday fun. A lot of indie movies, they really go the dark, hard-hitting, like tormented route, but something I loved about the movie Chef was it was just so much fun. Its central focus is a father and son relationship, but it's also about what you need in order to have a good life and just living life to the fullest. Also, I have to say, hashtag food porn. I watched this movie on an empty stomach. If you have a look at my initial review for this movie, I watched the movie in the cinema and I hadn't eaten lunch yet, and it was the biggest mistake ever because my stomach was like grumbling and gurgling with all the amazing food in this movie. Number 3, I've chosen something quite left field. I don't think this is going to be up everybody's street. Only Lovers Left Alive. This was a very alternative vampire love story. It is a vampire movie, but that is not really what it's about. It's not about the vampire culture. It's just kind of about people and about this eternal love story between the vampires Adam and Eve, Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston in a vampire relationship, but not in a cheesy way, in a very everlasting, immortal, haunting kind of way. And in the movie, Tom Hiddleston's character has lost that lust for life, for living. He doesn't really have a reason to exist anymore, and he's quite suicidal and depressed in this really emo vampire way. I really liked the way it was put together, and for me, it was just very melodic and haunting. Number 2 is a recent movie, and I held off my list especially for this movie. I knew it was going to be something special. There was so much hype, which in the end was a little bit of a shame because I could have done with a little less hype and gone into the movie a bit more wide-eyed and not knowing exactly what was going to happen, but that is the movie Birdman. And I got to see this movie on New Year's Eve. That's how I spent my New Year's Eve, bringing in 2015 with the movie Birdman, and it was kind of everything that I hoped it would be. I did a full review on it, which I will leave a link here if you want to check it out. I talk about it in depth, but I just thought this was a really just special movie. I liked how it uses this magic realism to talk about the everyday and the mundane. Because the camera is constantly roving, you know, it's like you are looking in and peeking in to a very intimate part of these characters' lives, and Michael Keaton's performance is very much outstanding. I especially loved the second half of the movie, which is unusual because usually I'm a first half movie kind of girl. I think I love how they set up worlds and, you know, create characters and everything, and then usually for me the second half kind of peters off and ends up being quite conventional. But in Birdman, the second half of the movie was just outstanding. I loved it. Number 1 is Whiplash. This movie just got me like a punch in the face. That is the way I've described it from the beginning. I did a longer review on it and I'll leave a link in the description box down below if you want to check that out. But for me, Whiplash was just a knockout. In fact, I would go even further and say I went into it expecting pretty much nothing. I thought the trailer did not do this movie any justice. I saw the trailer and just didn't really think anything of it. And when I went into this movie, Miles Teller's performance as this torn artist, musician, drummer who is really putting absolutely every single ounce of himself into his music and into his passion. Like, he will cast everybody else aside in order to make this dream come to fruition. And the teacher, J.K. Simmons, which challenges him, and the two of them, like, the teacher wants to bring out the best in his student, but he's also like a real dick. It is just so engaging to watch these two just butt heads in this really full-on kind of way. It's just mesmerizing. Music and picture and vision and the editing style as well, all the cuts. Couldn't say enough good things about this movie. I absolutely loved it, and because it was such a dark horse, that is why I want to give it some love, and it was my number 1 indie movie for 2014. I had a couple of honorable mentions because I saw some really amazing movies. I have to talk about Richard Linklater's film Boyhood, which was just a really great blend of documentary and narrative. Another honorable mention would be Blue Ruin. This was a revenge thriller, but just centering on one character, and it was a simple movie but just really nicely done, very effective. And of course, what about Nightcrawler? Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean there are still other movies that I haven't seen yet, but Jake Gyllenhaal's performance as Lou Bloom in Nightcrawler, a really strong Oscar contender for the best male actor. He made this movie. I have to say that I really loved the film. I thought it was great, but without him, I don't think it would have been half as good. He was the movie Nightcrawler. He was Lou Bloom in a way that I've never seen him before, and oh my goodness. There's still so much I need to see. I haven't seen Foxcatcher yet, which I really think that is something that I would love, and I'm excited to see that. I'm also excited to see Joaquin Phoenix in Inherent Vice. There are so many movies, oh my gosh. Guys, that was my top 5 indie movies for 2014. There were so many, and trust me, that was the most painful thing, trying to get it into a little top 5 playlist to share with you. But make sure you tell me what you're thinking. What were some of your favorite indie movies of the year? I really want to know. I'm sure there are heaps more that I haven't seen, so let me know so I know what I need to check out next. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my other movie and TV reviews, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!